Stuck in a life of stagnation with my boyfriend. I want more than very well responses. After my toxic past, I'm torn. Am I self-sabotaging or is he not pushing me enough? I crave to dance and share my passions while I fight my own demons. Can we break free together? TLDR once more, talk to your partner who understands you best, instead of seeking advice from people on Reddit about how to live your life. You know yourself better than anyone else. I responded to several comments. I read through all of the "you are completely incompatible, leave him, and you don't like him," and I realized that these assessments are untrue, but my post may have led you to believe otherwise. It's not that we do not communicate. I have always disliked phone calls, yet with him, we have engaged in conversations for 6 hours straight without stopping. It's not that we do not have a good time. Rather, we are both dealing with depression and both come from families that never encouraged us to engage with the world outside our homes. I also realize that I am seeking validation from others, which is precisely the problem. I rarely connect with people because I often feel misunderstood. This is exactly what occurred. As I was reading the comments, I came to an important realization. I did not fully grasp your perspectives. I felt like saying, no, that's definitely not how I feel, and that is certainly not how I would address this issue. I felt deeply misunderstood, and then it clicked. This is precisely why I am with my boyfriend. He comprehends me and I comprehend him. We are aware of each other's fears and struggles, and will do everything within our power to resolve any conflicts and address the issues that make us unhappy. After living for 30 years, I have never encountered anyone with whom I am more compatible, and God knows I have tried. Deep down, I recognize that I may not be in the best place at the moment, but I am true to myself. Only I know what I value and how crucial solitary time is for me, as well as spending time together while pursuing individual activities. He feels the same way. I think I often become overwhelmed with the urge to party or travel the world, but those feelings last only for a short time before I return to my usual self. However, I tend to evaluate my entire life based on those fleeting moments. I can truly be myself with my boyfriend. I can pursue whatever interests me and he will always support me. The challenge lies in my uncertainty about how to open up, as internally I experience panic. I would love to dance when he is around, but I am too shy. I have always been this way. I am open with acquaintances, yet I feel extremely shy around my loved ones. Sharing my art, never. My writing, just thinking about it sends a shiver down my spine. Singing, God forbid. I would absolutely love to engage in all those activities, and I know my loved ones would never judge or mock me, but I am terrified of revealing my true self. Even while watching a film with my family, during an emotional scene, I would hold back my tears and then make a joke to indicate that I do not get emotional. I must prioritize my mental health so I can actually accomplish things, rather than merely envisioning myself doing them. The reality is that I am not entirely happy in my relationship because I am not entirely happy in general. I feel stuck, experience depressive episodes, and struggle to get anything done. I need to address this situation. I am currently awaiting an appointment instead of casting blame. My boyfriend has consistently been there for me, even when I have tried to push him away out of fear. He has his strong preferences and aversions, but is willing to work on them and acknowledges that it can be problematic. I am not seeking someone simply to engage in activities with. The most important aspect of a relationship for me is that rare kind of understanding, which I have only found once with my boyfriend. It is not about whether we enjoy the same music. I would love for him to, but there is something like the 80-20 rule or whatever it is called. My boyfriend does not fulfill all of my needs as no one would. However, I would far prefer to be with someone with whom I have a true connection and who I can share my hobbies with, rather than someone with whom I share hobbies but who does not understand me on a deeper level. After feeling so awful, distant, and spiraling, I finally called him to share my fears and express how anxious it all made me feel. I explained how I had gone through the comments and realized that I was asking random people to dictate my actions instead of communicating with the person directly involved. I shared that I needed more music and suggested creating a playlist for him, accompanied by a description of how each song resonates with me. It feels like a project, and I love projects. This is how I can feel fulfilled, by sharing my world in a way that feels comfortable for me. We also planned a weekend together and a trip for the following weekend. We have begun to engage in deeper conversations, which he typically avoids because they often increase his anxiety. In fact, discussing profound topics can make me quite anxious as well. Even the music I love can provoke anxiety because I tap into that transcendent feeling, which, while addictive, leaves me feeling awful afterwards. He provides me with more stability as he consistently tries to inject humor into our interactions despite his own anxiety. I tend to obsessively overthink, and those thoughts quickly become compulsive ruminations. That is probably why I sounded so miserable, bitter, and unstable in that post. I do not feel this way all the time. I am overwhelmed when I spiral, and unfortunately numerous triggers can lead to such states. I fear intimacy, push others away, and tell my boyfriend that I want to be alone on the weekends, only to spiral because we do not see each other often enough. My greatest obstacle is myself. I spiral, focus on flaws, and self-sabotage. Sometimes I am my own worst enemy. I tend to fixate on the negative and start imagining a perfect life in my mind. However, I am the one responsible for the state of my life, not my boyfriend. It is me who has battled depression and anxiety for years without seeking help. It is me who continuously desires to take action but rarely follows through. It is me who wants effort but hardly commits to doing things. It seems that I wish for someone to make me truly live, and the responsibility for that falls on me. I, a 30-year-old female, need to engage in profound conversations. I crave laughter and playful banter. I want to listen to music together, try new activities, and explore a bit. While he is a 32-year-old male with autism and diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, his priorities revolve around minimizing anxiety. I have a deep passion for music and enjoy walking and dancing. He does not even know what music I listen to because he is not interested, which effectively ends the conversation. If we attempt to watch something together, it must be a horror, slasher, or thriller film devoid of supernatural, ghostly, or fantasy elements, because he despises those genres and refuses to watch them. Attempting to discuss anything beyond daily matters is a challenge. I have tried to share my passions with him music lyrics, but his only response to my attempts at sharing my world is a simple very well. There are no questions, no interest, and no curiosity. Very well tends to be his response to everything, yet we do converse, we reminisce about our childhoods and share various stories. He possesses a comforting kindness that I have always sought. We have never traveled anywhere, not even on a simple road trip. We have discussed exploring urban spaces, but it has yet to materialize. I am not inherently a traveler, but the thought that I might have to go somewhere alone if I desired to because he does not feel the need is disheartening. I would love to have that experience, but I already handle everything on my own. We live 60 kilometers apart, he has a car, and there is a bus to his town, yet we see each other every other week. Initially, we would meet every weekend from Friday evening to Monday morning, but now it feels as though he does not even require my presence. I feel as though I do not need to see him either. The mere thought of meeting him makes me anxious. I have been struggling with this for months. We first met almost exactly a year ago and started dating in June. I thought it might be relationship obsessive-compulsive disorder, and I still believe it plays a role, but I just feel hopeless. I perceive a lack of energy between us, no chemistry or sparks, if you will. To be honest, I am not actively pursuing those feelings. I have spent my entire life dreaming about love and convincing myself that I have set unreasonable expectations. However, I can no longer accept the possibility of enduring this existence until I die. Each time I hear very well when I try to connect, a part of me dies. It may also have something to do with his stimming. On the positive side, he is reliable, faithful, and trustworthy. We share the same values, and he is as much of an alien as I am, but I feel unfulfilled and stagnant because he has never entered my world. I'm not free of faults either. I experience frequent depression. I cry often and can be overwhelming. However, I feel as though I am diminishing just to help him understand me. I condense what I want to share into a single sentence so that he can process it and respond with another brief reply. Yet I also struggle with intimacy. I have always struggled with it. I enjoy sex, cuddling, and all those things, but at the same time, they often leave me feeling paralyzed. When my boyfriend wants to hug or kiss me, I find it difficult to move or speak. I grew up in a family with autism, surrounded by fear. My mother is a kind angel who has never fully lived, my brother is autistic and rarely leaves the house, and my sister has borderline personality disorder as well. My father, who likely had autism, passed away when I was 6. I thought I found comfort in my boyfriend following a toxic relationship with my ex. Now I see I am repeating a pattern from my upbringing, doing nothing, never attempting anything, never departing from home. There is care, but there is also stagnation that eats away at me. It is not that he lacks the desire to act, he has his limitations just as I do. We both grew up feeling isolated and never learned how to engage with others. As for friends, I do not have any to speak of. I doubt I even possess the mental capacity to maintain friendships. I have always felt as though I am behind a wall. People appear so different from me that it almost terrifies me. The only individuals with whom I feel comfortable in terms of familiarity are my mother and my boyfriend. I also spend most of my time alone, and I am truly okay with solitude. It is my default state. My boyfriend is the same way, however, I desire more. Yes, I can accomplish everything on my own, but what is the purpose of being in a relationship? Even if I were to engage in fulfilling activities with friends, what role does a relationship play? I am quite talkative, open, and somewhat charismatic at work as a teacher, but that does not translate well into my private life. At work, I adopt an acting persona. I embody a teacher me who interacts with people easily. Sometimes I wish I could be that way all the time, but it feels as if I expend so much energy to maintain that facade, and I often do not have it to spare. Additionally, I identify as being on the asexual aromantic spectrum, and relationships in general can be quite challenging for me. I have never comprehended the passion that people discuss or found someone to be attractive. The only factor that matters to me is whether I find someone's face appealing, and my boyfriend meets that criteria. However, I have never developed feelings for anyone else. I simply do not find people generally attractive. My boyfriend maintains good hygiene and lacks facial hair. It may sound trivial, but I spent 29 years single because I initially felt completely uninterested, and as an adult, most men have facial hair, a definite deal breaker for me. Perhaps this is an autistic trait as well. I do not know, but I cannot even be friends with someone I do not find attractive in some way. It does not have to pertain to conventional beauty, but they need to be my type or evoke a sense of familiarity. It may be messed up, but I have felt this way since childhood. The only time I felt true love was with a highly abusive and toxic ex who had borderline personality disorder and was exactly my type. We did not share values or interests, and he did not permit me to engage in activities alone either. Yet at that time, I truly believed it was love. I do not know how to let go or if I should let go. Perhaps I am subconsciously frustrated with my boyfriend for my inability to become the person I want to be. There exists an imaginary version of myself that I can never embody. That ideal self desires to travel the world and experience new adventures. The real me appears to lack the energy for any of that. Maybe I am self-sabotaging and attempting to distance myself from the best person I have ever met. Or perhaps I need someone with that vitality to encourage me to evolve into the version of myself I aspire to be. Perhaps I should simply seek friends with whom I can share my passions, though I have no idea how to do that. Maybe there exists a balance. I am a chronic overthinker preoccupied with hypothetical scenarios while he is grounded in practicality, anxious about tangible issues. I am a dreamer while he is realistic. Maybe I expect him to satisfy all my needs because I lack anyone else, and such an expectation is inherently unreasonable. I do not know, I feel trapped. Please help me find some clarity. TLDR, I feel lonely and unfulfilled with my boyfriend, but I have always felt this way. I am unsure whether I am the problem or if he is not the right person for me. Story 2. After 9.5 years of unconditional love, my boyfriend Max cheated repeatedly, claiming he loved me while hiding a toxic friendship with another girl. Now living together, he doesn't want to commit and I'm left wondering, how can he not put me first? Can I really move on? Hello, I apologize for the length of this post, but there has been so much happening that it feels overwhelming. Additionally, English is not my first language, so I appreciate your understanding in advance. I am a 23-year-old female, and I have been with my now ex-boyfriend, a 25-year-old male whom I will refer to as Max, for over 9 years. We met by chance, began dating quite quickly, and were only about 13 to 15 years old at the time, so we were essentially kids. As we matured, however, we fell deeply in love. It was the kind of love that one often sees in movies. Naturally, we experienced some ups and downs, but in the end, we were very compatible. We communicated frequently, and I would categorize our relationship as healthy, built on open dialogue. We shared similar interests, played video games together, and during my struggles with depression and challenging home circumstances, he was incredibly supportive and helped me through those difficult times. It is not an exaggeration to say that he was my first in every sense. He showed me how to be myself, the importance of not living to please others, and he provided me with a sense of safety and unconditional love. However, there were a few significant events that occurred that I believe are worth mentioning. He has always had good friendships with girls, primarily due to the absence of a father figure in his life. I am not the jealous type, as I understand that he finds it difficult to connect with boys, although he does have male friends, they are not very close. There was one girl in particular, someone quite attractive, with whom he became friends and they were very close. She had a crush on him when he was around 17 or 18. To summarize, he lied to me a few times and hid the truth, but ultimately he ended their friendship after I issued an ultimatum. I was also quite young back then. A few years passed and we appeared to have re-established trust. We began exploring our sexual desires and unsurprisingly we essentially formed each other, experimenting a little which brought us closer together. Then one time I received permission to engage with another guy but under specific conditions. To summarize again, I messed it up by not adhering to his stipulations which damaged his trust. Nevertheless, we were in love, so we started communicating more, stopped exploring relationships with others, and focused on each other. We moved in together during my time at university and lived with friends for 3 years. We used to be incredibly happy. We were even discussing marriage and starting a family, as we had experienced living together and envisioned spending our lives together. However, after he graduated from university and his friends moved out, he started to feel lonely. I suggested trying Tinder, as there are many normal people beyond our close friends circle, and he might find a friend of his own. He began using it, and that is when everything fell apart. He proposed that we experiment again, this time with a girl he connected with on Tinder. I was hesitant but agreed without feeling insecure. I had one condition: if either of us felt unfulfilled or uncomfortable, we would end it immediately. As time passed, I noticed they were spending more time together and I communicated my concerns. I informed him that she likely had feelings for him because she sent him a Valentine, among other things. During this period, I also had a friends with benefits relationship with a male friend, someone who had made mistakes with me in the past, but agreed to it since there were no emotional attachments. Later, I discovered that the girl he was involved with did not even know he had a girlfriend of 8 years. I made the mistake of not addressing it earlier because I genuinely believed him when he insisted it was not a problem since there were no emotions involved. Eventually, he issued me an ultimatum stating that he was unhappy with my involvement with my friend and insisted I end that friendship. However, I simply could not. I expressed that I was unsure why, but I could not terminate my friendship, and I believe this is what broke him, making him feel that he was not my first priority. In hindsight, I realized I was lost, as I was receiving the attention I needed from my friend rather than from him, which made it harder for me to let go. In the end, I told Max that I loved him and felt lost, but the situation with this girl continued to be an issue. He also did not want to end their communication. He suggested they could remain friends without the physical aspects, and I agreed because I trusted him again. So we were both lost and had grown apart. He hesitated to move in with me even on the day we signed a lease for a new apartment together. He believed that moving in together would help resolve some of our problems, but he could not have been more mistaken. Fast forward, he began to exhibit hostility, our sex life diminished, and he occasionally spent time with this girl. We talked, and I did my best to communicate everything, taking every possible step to address our issues. He promised to change, but I felt desperate and unhappy, unsure of how to cope alone. This limbo of trying, contemplating breaking up, experiencing my sadness, seeing him change, only for him to make yet another mistake, like telling me he would return from their meeting at 8 p.m., then texting me at 9 p.m. to say he was waiting for an Uber without informing me he would be late, left me blaming myself and justifying his behavior. We began sleeping in separate rooms, and at the beginning of March I contacted the girl and informed Max about it because everything felt suspicious. I merely wanted to speak with her to understand their relationship from her perspective and nothing more. His world crumbled. He asked me to unsend the message and told me I would hear everything from her. What I later learned was distressing. He had cheated on me multiple times during the summer. She was also deceived as he told her we had broken up, and he proposed creating a situationship with her. He claimed he did not love her but felt sadness when he could not meet up with her. He promised he would attempt to cut her off, and he was preparing to confess the truth that I had been misled for about 6 months. He began seeing a psychologist, and I believed he truly wanted to come clean. You know what I felt? Relief, realizing that the state of our relationship was not solely my fault but due to his actions. All my insecurities dissipated because I finally understood the reason behind it all. I know some of you might wonder, did you leave him? The answer is no. I took my time, approximately 1 to 2 weeks, and eventually told him that I believed I could trust him again. I genuinely loved him and thought we could attempt to start anew and build something together because my feelings for him were that strong. Of course, this girl needed to be entirely out of our lives, especially his life, but after he begged for a chance, he became hesitant. Even with full transparency and with only friendship between them, he still would not commit to me. I understand that forcing a relationship is not healthy, but when he said he knew he could be happy with me, but that currently, given our circumstances, he could not be happy with me, it played with my emotions. I told him that if our attempts were one-sided, then there was no point in trying at all, so we decided to end things last week. We continue to live together due to our rental arrangement, and I likely will move out in about 2 months, but it is incredibly challenging. I miss him dearly, and I want to believe that one day he will come to me, express his longing for me, and demonstrate the changes he has made, acknowledging his regrets. However, I am aware that is unlikely to happen. I reflect on our memories, and every single one is tied to him. All my dreams were shared with him. How could he not prioritize me? Did he ever truly love me? We have been together for 9.5 years, almost 10 years of my life. I made mistakes and he made mistakes, but we only live once, right? Here I am at 23, trying to figure out how to move on after being inseparable from someone for nearly a decade, especially throughout my teenage years. How does one even move on from such a situation? Any advice? Yes, I am heartbroken and cry uncontrollably. Yes, I believe I will eventually find happiness in the future, but it is incredibly difficult to maintain that perspective right now. I cannot help but blame myself and wonder how he could do this to me and why he did not experience the same love I felt for him. To summarize, My boyfriend of 9.5 years cheated on me and did not want to commit, even after receiving another chance. And I still hope he will change his mind.